The following is one in a series of authentication video studies presented by John Reznikoff and University Archives.
That I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States. So help me God.
Now, congratulations, sir.
How do you do, everybody? I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Ronald Reagan. A few months ago, I was a sports announcer on a radio station in Des Moines, Iowa. One day I ran into one of these movie talent scouts. I think I caught him off guard because the next thing I knew, I was taking a screen test for Warner Brothers in Hollywood. I guess it was okay. At least I liked Hollywood, so here I am. They did everything they could to make me feel at home, too. The first picture, well, what do you think it was about? A radio station. When you see it, I hope you like it. If you have a little spare time, why, drop me a line at Warner Brothers Studios in Hollywood. I'll see you in the movies.
As he requested, moviegoers who saw Ronald Reagan in his first film, Love is on the Air, wrote him fan letters, and his reviews were so favorable that Warner's raised his salary. Reagan eventually moved his mother Nell and father Jack to California and paid them to answer his fan mail, which his dad picked up at the studio. In answering Reagan's mail, Mother Nell would pen personal letters to fans and autograph his photos. She even signed her son's name to official membership cards in the Ronald Reagan fan club, usually with lengthy notes on the back. Following the death of his father in 1941, Reagan's mother continued answering the young star's fan mail, as well as that sent to her new daughter-in-law, actress Jane Wyman. Here's a 2-page letter from Nell Reagan in which she signed Mom's Nell. In this original example, look at the way Nell dated her letter. Note the formation of the word dear, especially the uppercase D. The distinct first stroke of the Y in you. And the crossbar in the uppercase T in Terry. Also, notice how she wrote her son's first name. And notice the distinctive final stroke of the S in as. On the letter's second page, notice the formation of the uppercase I's. We'll now compare these distinct samples of Nell's actual handwriting to a letter she wrote for her son. First, notice the similar way the letter is dated. Note the similarity in the formation of dear, especially the D. Even the final stroke of the S in as is nearly identical to the S in her forged letter. In this letter's second page, notice the same first stroke of the Y in Young, and the crossbar in the uppercase T in Tuesday. Finally, even the uppercase I displays the nearly identical features of the I in Nell's original letter. And as you might suspect, the Ronalds in each letter are a virtual match. Now, let's compare these two Nell letters to a letter authentically handwritten and signed by Ronald Reagan. The similarities in the words in the first two columns are striking because they're both in the hand of Reagan's mother from the two letters previously featured. Words in the third column display marked differences because they're from the letter authentically handwritten and signed by Ronald Reagan. Look at Ronald Reagan's signature, Ronnie. Look at Reagan's dear, especially the formation of the uppercase D. The first stroke of the Y in you. The final stroke of the S in days. The formation of the uppercase I. And the crossbar in the uppercase T in thank. The fact that Nell Reagan handwrote and signed letters for her son Ronald, and also signed photographs and fan club membership cards for him, was uncovered by Universal Autograph Collectors Club president Herman Darvik. He revealed his findings in the January-February 1985 issue of the Pen and Quill, the official UACC journal, Pulitzer Prize-winning biographer Edmund Morris refers to Darvik's article in his 1999 Reagan biography, Dutch. Here, we see an extremely rare, authentically signed photograph sent by Reagan to Peter MacArthur in the late 30s. MacArthur had hired the 21-year-old Reagan as a sports announcer on his radio station in Iowa. Reagan called MacArthur and his wife Lydia Ma and Pa. Note the loop in Reagan's uppercase T and the formation of the D in Dutch. Nell didn't sign this one. During World War II, as Reagan served in the armed forces, Warner Brothers sent his studio fan mail to his mother, paying her $75 a week to answer his mail. This was the same salary Reagan was paying her, prompting Warner's to eventually deduct this amount from Reagan's salary checks when he returned from overseas. This photograph was inscribed and signed Ronald Reagan by Nell. In the 1950s and early 60s, while a spokesperson for General Electric, many authentic Ronald Reagan signatures appeared on letters and movie and TV contracts. In 1966, Reagan was elected governor of California, then re-elected in 1970. During his 8 years as governor, his personal secretary, Helen Von Dam, signed many autographs for the busy governor, a fact revealed by UACC President Paul Carr in an issue of the Pen and Quill. Carr pointed out that in Ronald, Von Dam's O looks more like an A than an O. Von Dam would also make the D open, resembling EL. Reagan would almost always close his D. In this authentically penned Ronald, the O resembles an O, and the D is closed. In the study A Closer Look at Ronald Reagan by R.R. Auction's Bill White, many other secretarial differences are revealed. Example A on top was signed by Helen Von Dam. Ronald Reagan signed Example 1 on the bottom. In Best Regards, Von Dam connects the B to the EST, while Reagan does not. The L and D in the authentic Ronald on the bottom are basically the same height. Von Dam's L is visibly shorter than her D. In Reagan, Von Dam's E is generally vertical, or it slants to the right. In an authentic Reagan, the E invariably slants towards the left. Helen Von Dam continued signing Ronald Reagan's name until she was appointed by President Reagan as U.S. Ambassador to Austria in 1983. Facsimile signed Reagan photographs and cards were frequently mailed from the governor's mansion in Sacramento and the White House. Some photographs were calligraphed by a secretary and signed by the AutoPen, a machine which mechanically reproduces a signature using an actual pen. This is a photograph signed by a Reagan AutoPen, which is just one example of over 17 different Ronald Reagan AutoPen patterns. These official letters of state to Latin American presidents were each signed by the AutoPen. For close friends, there was even a Ron AutoPen pattern. Recently discovered at University Archives by John Reznikoff and Herman Darvik are two Dutch AutoPen patterns used on letters to friends of Reagan in his early years. Ronald Reagan always enjoyed handwriting letters to friends. He continued this practice while he was president and after he left office. At times, he would add a personal note on a Christmas card. These are highly prized by their recipients and collectors. We hope you've enjoyed this informative video and encourage you to visit universityarchives.com for other informative videos and more examples of authentically signed Ronald Reagan items spanning the almost 60 years of his acting and political careers.